Hello, and welcome to the ASDRP Researcher Interview Series. Today, I'll be talking with Shreya Somani. Thank you so much for joining me today. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm doing well. Thank you for asking. I'm glad to hear your day's going well. To start us off, I would love to learn more about what got you here to ASDRP and how you found out about us.
So I actually have my mom knows someone, and through that connection, she found out that her friend's son was actually in this group for his freshman year of high school. And so, we were actually looking for summer programs I could join that were related to science and biology. And so she, showed me this website about it. And I spent a full week just like looking through it and kind of looking at all the different groups and finding something that I was interested in. And so, through that, I found some stuff that I liked. I saw some really cool projects and I applied. And it's been really great so far. You learn a lot. And yeah, I'm happy I'm here.
That's wonderful. What high school do you go to?
I currently go to Lynbrook High School in San Jose, California.
Okay, cool. And what year in school are you?
I'm an incoming freshman, so this will be my first year in high school.
Oh, nice. Well, good luck. And welcome to ASDRP, and hopefully you'll be here throughout your time in high school. That's awesome. What were some of the projects on the website that inspired you to join?
At first, I was really interested in like neuroscience and biology. And so I saw that the Ranganathan group did a lot of like Alzheimer's studying and more focused on the neuroscience. And I also saw that Miss Sanganeni and her group worked on nanotechnology. And I found both of these groups like really cool. But when I first like looked at it, it looked really cool. But as I read deeper into different websites, I found that the new group, although I have no experience in chemistry myself, I found that there was just so many different projects that they explored within the group and that I could learn a lot from it. And so these were a couple of key groups that I really enjoyed looking at.
That's awesome. And who's your advisor now?
Edward New under chemistry. I work with his group right now.
Nice. And what are you specifically researching this summer?
So because I just joined, I'm still like trying to dip my toes into everything and try to figure out the different subgroups within his like big group. But I'm currently focused on andrographolide, which is a natural chemical that was extracted from a plant. And it's been shown to have anti-cancer, anti-inflammatory, anti-depression, and a lot of like anti-bad things properties. And so we're actually trying to utilize that molecule to create compounds that could show promise in the cancer field and in that area of study.
Wow, that sounds super fascinating. That's very cool. What plant is it extracted from?
If I remember correct, I think its name was Andrographicus pinaculata. It's a big scientific name, but I can, yeah.
Okay, very cool. Where is that plant found? I've never heard of that before.
That's a good question. I'm not quite sure about that though.
That's fine. No worries. So the next thing I would love to know more about is what your day-to-day activities are like in the lab.
All right, so because I just joined the group a few weeks ago, I'm trying to focus more on interacting with the group members and shadowing some of the ones that have been here for a longer time, so I can learn more about what their subgroup does and how to run some of the basic functions of the lab. So usually, I go into the lab, I get my PPE on, and I get all ready to start working. And then I either check a group chat or I see a group member who's working on the same project I am. And then we just, continue the work that we've been doing for the last couple of days. Like sometimes we start an experiment, and so we have to do things like column it or run it through machines. And so usually we just work together and we get through that. And we take breaks, of course. We eat snacks in the snack room and, we go out and have some fun. But then, it's mainly just staying in the lab and running through just some basic functions right now with people who know a bit more than I do, so I can get more experience in that.
Got it. Awesome. What an interesting day. It's really great that you had the chance to dip your toes into a bunch of different types of experiments and hope soon you'll find your niche and find what you're going to be researching. That's awesome. Are you in the lab right now?
Yes, I am. I'm just in a different room than the chemistry because they have an event going on there right now. So, yes.
Okay, awesome. That's great. This is my first interview with someone actually in the lab. Super cool. Um, and I'm curious what one of the greatest challenges you've encountered so far in researching has been.
Um, I think specifically in this group, I joined with absolutely zero experience in chemistry. I knew some of the basics, my grandfather was a chemist, so he would host like sessions in the night with me and I'd study with him, but there was no like formal training in it. And I didn't get the chance to take like chem honors or anything in school either. And so I think the biggest hurdle was just, coming in and just being like thrust into chemistry. And I had like no idea what was going on. They're like talking about like all these different mechanisms. And I was just like confused for the first day. But I think what really helped was that everyone was like super, they just really wanted to help you learn and help you figure it out. So they were like super kind to explaining everything to me and showing me like all the different, functions and mechanisms and how it all works. And so, it does still get like a bit overwhelming sometimes because I'm not used to doing this much chemistry work. But, my advisor and my group mates always try to make sure that, us newbies can understand it. And then really they help us a lot in progressing on with projects and stuff. So yeah, the learning curve was definitely pretty steep, but I think we got it.
That's great. Yeah, and you'll only continue to learn more. And when you take chem in high school, you're going to be like a rock star at it. You're going to be totally ahead. Um, that's awesome. What has it been like working? You talked a little bit about it, but what's it been like working in the team in the lab?
I think it's really awesome because, these are people that go to different high schools than I do, and they're in different grades. And so there's a lot of like diversity, and we all come from different, parts of the Bay Area, I guess, and we have different experiences. And so it's really amazing just being able to meet them. First of all, like, I usually like stay within my bubble in my school, but just like branching out and talking to different people is really amazing. And everyone is so welcoming and they just want to make sure that you're having a good time and that you understand what you're doing. So, they just like walk me through all the steps and they try to make sure I feel included, even though, I came into this group not knowing a single person, but they're just, and they're like a support as well in the lab, of course. It's difficult to do like one experiment alone because there's so many different things to handle. But if you have a great partner, they really help you get through it more efficiently and more quickly. So that's been really amazing in this group.
That's awesome. I'm so glad to hear that your team has been so supportive. That's wonderful. I'm curious, another thing is what excites you the most about your research that you're doing?
I definitely say that the complexity of it is just mind-blowing because, these are some things that I'd only read about and heard about people in college and like postgraduate working on and trying to accomplish, but just like getting to think that, as a high schooler, I'm able to do something like this too. And I'm able to like get started in the field and work with the different machines that people don't get to work on until they're much like farther in life. That's been, oh, sorry. I think that's been like one of the coolest things I've seen about research.
Yeah, that's super cool. It's really amazing to see the sort of the resources that ASDRP has to offer the young researchers, and it's so exciting that you guys get to access these and cultivate new perspectives about science. Um, Kind of in line with that, do you feel as though researching so far has changed anything about the way you view the world?
I think it's just shown that there's so much more to a subject than what's in a textbook because, as I said, I never had an interest in chemistry or just like in that aspect of research and development before. I was more of like, I read and I memorize and I understand. But I think like just doing this kind of research has shown that it's such a big scope and there's just so many different projects and different questions to be asked And I've also seen that there's so much to pull from that what people have done, like researching in what people have already, like their experiments, that makes sense. Like reading literature online and, seeing what's already been done. It's like, there's so much information out there for us to capture and us to learn.
Definitely. That's really awesome. That's great to hear. How much time do you spend preparing for your research at home and outside of the lab?
So because I'm not completely comfortable like working on my own, I tend to spend a bit more time in the lab and trying to like get hands-on than I do at home. But I try to spend at least, 5 hours a week just reading literature at home and getting more involved in the projects I like. And then as for in the lab, I try to spend at least 25 hours a week just like doing work in the lab. And yeah, that's probably it.
Wow, it's like a full-time job. That's really
Almost,
amazing.
yep. It's like a 9 to 5. So
Yeah. All of you researchers are so dedicated. It's really awesome to see and hear all of the cool things that you guys are doing, and it's really encouraging and amazing. The last question I'd like to ask you today is, what advice would you give to a future researcher looking to join ASDRP?
I'd say just don't be afraid to try something new. Like you may think you don't like something, but there's just like don't set any blocks against anything. No matter how much you think you don't like it, be open to trying different subjects and different, solving different questions. And also that, the amount of knowledge you enter ASDRP with can it's changeable. Just because you don't have any knowledge in it yet doesn't mean that you're going to stay that way. Everyone comes in with a specific level and everyone grows from that level. So it's just thinking that, what experience you have now can only be, upped by what you have, and don't set that as a block. Like I'm super young and I can't do this. No, you can do it. People have done it, and just don't, take any blocks and just be open to everything. My biggest.
That's great advice. That's really good advice. I talked to one other researcher who's a rising freshman, and she said something similar about no matter how young you are, you guys totally have the capacity and you totally can do all of this research and learn all of these things. And you guys are just testaments to how much you can learn and accomplish. So it's been really wonderful talking with you today. Thank you so much for joining me and sharing all that you have to say about your experiences here. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your summer researching.
Thank you. You too.
Thank you. All right. Have a good one.
You too. Bye.